Okay, hi. So yeah, so I think study class we have checked with I think the basic concept of JavaScript, right? So we have gone through how the operators are and what are the different types of operators we can use, and I think we have gone through what is that functions and all, right? Different scenarios we check, like how the data is passed from one function to another function, and how the return type of the function and calling the function. All those things we have checked in the study class, right? So today we will go for the continuation. So I think yesterday we have checked with looping statement as well. So we have checked with for loop, right? So same thing. Now next we are going for today classes as a while loop, do while loop, break and continue statement with array and string basics. Okay. So all those things we are going to check with. Okay. So similar to for loop, like we can go for while loop. Okay, only the difference, like for loop always works for specific like length. If we know the specific length, we can go for loop. If we don't know the length, like something kind of like it can be true or it can be failed within two iteration, or it can be failed within four iteration or one iteration. So if that kind of things are there, then instead of for loop, we can go for the while loop. So I'll just try to convert the for loop of 1 to 10, whatever we are printed based on this while loop. Okay. So as we discussed, like if you want to print 1 to 10, something like that, then we'll just write the for loop like let I equal to 0, I less than n. Okay. And maybe n will be some 10, 20, whatever it might be. Okay. And just printing the console.log and I, something like that we are trying to print. So same thing, we can convert it using while loop. So you can see like 0 to 9 it got printed. So we can do the same thing. So just in case we have to do let I equals 0. Okay, we can just write while, and whatever condition you have written here, that condition you can copy and you can paste it here. Okay, and just write console dot log. Okay, I, and then once one iteration got over, then what we have to do, we have to just increment the I value. So just write I plus plus, something like that we can write. Okay, so after iteration again it will go here and again it will check after incrementing. So again it will print, again it will check. So like this it will just convert it into for to while. So this is the syntax to be used. Okay, so two times it got printed because of for and while loop. Okay, so this is while loop. But here you have to check one more thing. Like see, let's suppose now here what happens if the condition does not get satisfied, then what happens, like nothing is getting printed. Like let's suppose if I'll just write I greater than 10. If I write I greater than 10, then what will be the thing? Nothing will printed, right? Because here itself, first iteration itself, condition got failed, condition got failed. So because of condition got failed, nothing happens, right? So at worst case, like if first only condition will get failed, then nothing will be executed, right? But same this type of things, it might help, but sometimes we need something to be printed at worst scenario, something like that. Okay, so it's like checking and then executing. So the reverse of while loop is do while loop. So do while loop, what we'll do, first we try to execute and then we try to check. Okay, so in for loop, while loop, without checking it won't go for execution, but in do while loop, first it will do execute and then it will check. Okay, so that is do while loop. So in do while loop, what will happen, like we are just trying to console.log I, we are printing, and then we are incrementing I plus plus, and next we are checking with y. Okay, I less than 10, something like that we are trying to do. Okay, so it will print from 0 to 9, but in this case, if let's suppose I is greater than 10, so first only it's getting failed, right? But even though worst scenario I is greater than, it's not going to satisfy, but still you will get one chance to see the output. Okay, first iteration. So that is the difference of do and while. Okay, do while. Yeah, at least once it will print. Even though the condition not satisfied, but still it will print once. Okay. But see, while and do while loop, we never like maximum level we won't use nowadays because I have to not used till now. Means I think from past 2 to 3 years, something like that. But very rarely we use because most of the things we can do using like later when I go through the JavaScript concept, you might check with different like methods and all like filter, find. So many advanced methods are there. Okay, inbuilt method which JavaScript has introduced in ES6 features. So all those things has came into exist so that those all things are in more uses. But just you have to understand like in some scenario you might need this type of things. Like you might need while loop to be used instead of for loop when you don't know like when the things are getting failed or when the things are reaching to the limit. Okay, in that case you can use this while and do while. Okay, next will be so this is a do while loop. Okay, now next will be break statement. So break statement is very very important and it's very confusing statement. Like many people will get confused and an interviewer also makes you confused in interview. Okay, so one thing you have to understand: break statement breaks the iteration. Okay, breaks the iteration and it will directly come out of the for loop. Okay, so let's suppose in if in for loop, if I'm writing for loop and inside for loop, if I'm writing break, then it won't do anything. It will just come out of the loop. Okay, so basically break statement is for breaking the iteration. Now what happens? Now if I'll write for let I equal to something like I equal to 0 and I less than 5 something and I plus plus. If I write this, okay, if I write this and if I try to execute, it will just execute till 0 to 5. There is no stoppage in between, right? But sometimes it might happens like we have to break something or we have to based on some condition. If some condition does not satisfy, we have to come out of the loop, something like that. Okay, so in that scenario we will use break statement. So what break statement does, it will just break the for loop. Okay, so let's suppose I'll just write if I equal to 3, something like that. So I'll tell break. So what will happen here, or else I'll just write log I. So tell me what will happen here. What is the output? Can you guess? Okay. 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 Yeah. So it will print 0, 1, 2. Because when it come to 3, third iteration, fourth iteration, sorry. So I will be 3. So I equal to 3. Yes, true. Then it will just break. So it will come out of the for loop. Okay. So after that, nothing will happen. No any incrementation, no any conditional check. So that type of things is called break statement. So what interviewer does to you, what interviewer will do, they'll do like this. They'll do I equal to, they'll just write I equal to 0 and they'll check if I equal to if I sorry less than 5, then what they'll do, they'll just write break. Okay, so now tell me what is the output, they will ask. Yeah, it will give error because break statement always works on looping statement. Without looping, it won't work because breaking means from where it breaks. It can't break from if condition, right? This is just a condition to call this break. So this type of things interviewer might makes you confused. So be careful with break statement. Okay. Now next is a continue statement. Okay. So that is the reason I've just kept here like I equal to 2. I equal to 2. See here I have done some mistake, right? It is 0, 1, 2. It's printing. Basically it should not print 2. Correct, so some mistake, grammatical mistakes are there. Okay, out mistake. Okay, so next is continue. So continue is nothing but uh, any iteration if you want to skip. Okay, if you want to skip some iteration and you want to jump to other iteration, something like that. So in that scenario you can just use continue. So continue, what happens if the respective iteration, when condition got satisfied, that iteration will get skipped and you'll just go for continue. Okay, so you can see the example here I have written like I equal to 0. So I'm just telling like skip the even number because anything modulus by 2 equal to 0 means that is divisible by 2, right? So this program, what happens, it will just skip the
even number, or same thing you can do for odd number, or anything is fine. Okay, so that time it will just skip. Okay,
So that is the thing. We can go for continuous statement, right? So I'll just write it. So something like that we can go. So we can just write if I mod 2 something. Oh, I mod 2 equal to 0. So I'll just write continue. Okay, else I'll just print the value. Okay, something like that you can do, so that it will skip that respective iteration and then it will go for next iteration. So or something like that we can try to do. So basically it is trying to skip the iteration. Okay, respective iteration. So all those things are there, so that is called continuous statement. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, next is like what is the using of loop? So using of loop already we know, right? Like any code which, like see, if you want to print 1 to 100, instead of writing 10 consoles or 20 consoles, you can just write one console and you can just repeat it, right? So redundancy code has got reduced to one line, right? So that is one thing. Reduce the code structure, like you can see, like you have printing 1 to 4 4 times, and then only one time you are writing and just writing one loop. That's it. Okay, and then these loops can also be used in array. So array I'm not going to say now. Okay, so I think next is array only. So we'll check in array, and again we'll come to for loop and we'll try to access array. Okay, so next is array. So already we have this variable, right? Like we can store the value in the variable. So why array has came into exist? So array is nothing but it's a group of element stored in one place with same name and having multiple index. That is called array. Like see, if I'll give you 1,000 data to store, then what you will do? You will just create 1,000 variable to store that data, right? You will create 1,000 variable, like a variable will be 23, b variable will be 34, something like that. So instead of that, so let's suppose I will tell you to access some other data, or I want to tell you like, okay, you changed this data, then it's very difficult for you to remember all those variables names and all, right? 1,000 variables name. So instead of that, this array basically is used. So what happens, like let's suppose some group of data, if you want to bind in one place. Okay, it's like a box inside multiple box, and one box having different, like one box having a complete bunch of chocolates, one box having a bunch of cakes. So something like that it is binded with. Okay, and all the things, like how you will count, like let's suppose you will buy one cake, like one cupcake, oh sorry, not cupcake, like some cakes will be there, no, elite cakes and all. So you'll just count with 1 2 3 4, right? So first line is a first cake, right? So something like that you will count, right? So similar like this way. So array will defined using group of element. We can tell similar type of element also in other programming language, but in JavaScript, array can accept multiple type of data. Like see, we have different type of data, right? You have think you have studied primitive data type and non-primitive data type, right? So primitive means you can store number, you can store a floating number, right? Floating point value, you can store boolean value, you can store null, undefined. So many data types are there, right? So all the data types combinedly it will keep in array, but only this language has that flexibility, JavaScript. None of the other language has that flexibility. If you will write in Java like multiple types, then it will give you error. Because when we defined array with some integer value, then it will only accept the integer data. But in JavaScript, it can accept multiple type of data. Okay, and each data will be the data will be starting with a 0, and each data will have some number or index we call as. Okay, so index we call as. So something like that. So I'll just create a let arr equal to something with a square bracket we can do. Okay, square bracket. So if you want to add some new data, that we'll go through like in the advanced concept, like in next, like once this basics will get over. Okay, so let's suppose I'm just writing 23 45 67. Okay, so basically three elements are there in the array, but name is same, right? ARR is having the three data. Previously only ARR was having only one data, 23. But now you are storing three data in the same variable, right? But only the index value will get changed. So if you want to access data, so what you can do, you can just write ARR and same square bracket, you can just write 0, 1, 2, something like that. So 2. So 2 is nothing but 0, 1, 2. So starting from 0, it will be on the second index, right? So it will be 67. So you can access the element from the array. Okay. If you want to store the element to the array, then either you can write ARR of something like that 4 equal to 45, something like that you can write, right? And you can just print log ARR. So if you want to print complete array, then you can just print complete array. See, so 4 I told, so that is what is the reason, like it will go to fourth, so 0, 1, 2, but it will skip the 3. So 3 I have not mentioned, right? So that is the reason it will go fourth and it will just store there. Okay, so either you can access using ARR of this one, or you can assign data to respective place inside the array. Okay, so this is one way. So basically, whenever we try to get the data, like a list of the record from the database, so that time it will come in the array format only. Okay, so we have to loop. So let's suppose now to I'm just writing only one data at a time, right? ARR of 0 I'm writing, or ARR of 1 I'm writing. So if you want to loop this array, then just do the same for loop. Let I equal to 0, I less than ARR dot length. Means it will check ARR dot length is the property. Dot length is the property for the array, which gives you the length of the count of the total count of the element. So it will give total count. So 1, 2, 3. So till 3. So I less than 3. So 0. Starting from 0 less than 3 is nothing but it's a completely last element. Right? Completely last element. So I will just write let ARR length. Okay. So length is nothing but ARR dot length, something like that. Okay. So I'll just try to print it. So just print the length, ARR length. So what happens here? It will just return the 3, right? It returns the 3. So 3 is nothing but it's not, but index is not existing 3 index, right? It's just the element, correct? So in interview, they might ask you how to access the first element of the array and how to access the last element of the array. An array will have multiple sides. If I'll tell you here, access the last element of the array, so what you will do? You'll just write array of 2, correct? Array of 2 is the last element. If I'll tell you, okay, write with the starting element. The starting element anyway is fine. It's starting from 0, so you can just write array of 0. But let's suppose this array might be changing. This array might be changing. We don't know like which is the index, last index of the array. So something like that will be there, no? Then we can just write. So tell me, array dot length will always give you the last index plus 1. Array dot length will always give you last index plus length plus 1. Why I'm saying? Because it starts with 0. Correct. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it is telling 0 to 8, right? 0 to 8. And array length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So total length is 9 and your index, last index is 8. So that is length minus 1, right? Last index is at length minus 1. So total length minus 1 is nothing but it's a last element. So we can write array length minus 1. So if anyone will tell you like, okay, print the last element of this array, like they'll give you multiple arrays and you can just write array length minus 1. So you will get the last element of the array. What is that? Something. Oh, okay. This is. Okay. So something like that. So you will get. Okay. So array dot length is there. Array dot length minus 1. So last element you can access. First element you can access, middle element also you can access. You can just access the last element plus first element divided by 2. Something like that you can do, and you can just get the middle element. So something like that you can access. So now in the further classes we will see so many kinds of operations are there on the array. Okay, and it's very huge. Array is very lengthy and there are multiple methods available in JavaScript and we have to operate on this array. Okay, different type of
operations are there, like adding the element to the array, accessing the element from the array, searching some element inside the array, or deleting something from the array. Deleting also, there will be like deleting from the first, deleting from the last, deleting from any of the position, like any of the index value, or searching the data inside the array, searching based on the condition inside the array. Like let's suppose there is an array, I wanted to get what is that, like less than 20 value from this array. So less than 20 value, you have to do some operation, right? And you have to get. So many conditional things, so many things will operate on the array. Okay. So those all things we'll check in the further classes for array. Okay. So as of now, just you have to understand array. Okay, is this like a similar kind of data stored in group of or collection of the data stored in one variable name with multiple index value. Okay, and using dot length we can get the length of the array. If you want to access first element, then you can access using array of 0. We can iterate the array using for loop, and in further classes also you'll see you can iterate to array not only with the for loop, with so many other methods are there. Okay, so many other ways are there, so you can iterate that way also in to array. Okay, you can access the last element of the array. So all those things you have to study in further classes. And one more thing, array can contain like not only the number, it can contain true value, false value, any type of value. Okay, even though array can contain functions also. Okay, functions also. Got it? Any type of data array can contains. There is no any object. So I don't think so. You have no object now, but anyway, it's fine. But I'm just trying to tell like any type of data array can accept in JavaScript. There is no any issue. Okay, no any error. Okay, okay. So string. So string is nothing but it's also kind of like storing the data, but it stores the data inside double quotes or single quotes. Okay, so any alphanumeric character which you want to store in one place. Okay, or you want to send some message, you want to display some message, so that type of things you can store it in string variable. Okay, string. So you can store in string. So the difference of a string and array is any operation if you will perform on the string, okay, it will not change the value of the original string. Okay, it will not change the value of the original string. Let's suppose I have created one string here. Okay, I have created one string here. Now just now you have okay, you just now you saw like when I tried to when I was having one array. Okay, when I was having one array with two data, right? Two data. But if I try to change this array of, let's suppose I'm just trying to write two, array of two, we can modify this array, right? So I can just write 34. So if you see the array length before this change and array length after this adding will be different because one more data I have kept, right? One more data I have just inserted. So we are changing the original array, right? So we are changing the original array. But in this same scenario, if I'll write, let's suppose str or something like that, if I'll write, okay, using single quotes or using double quotes, both quotes you can use to create a string. There is not any issue. Okay, so you can just write John. So if you perform any action on this string, no, it will never change. Original string will never get affected. Always the any operation performed on the string will always return the new string. So this is very important concept you have to remember every time. Okay, string is immutable, we'll call it as immutable. Immutable means it can't be changed. Once it created, we can't modify that string. Any modification if you want to do in that string, it will create a new string for you. Okay, this string will be the same. This original string will be the same. There is no changes in the string. Okay, so string can be created using single quotes and double quotes. So now question comes to your mind, like why already one single quotes we can create a string, why double quotes also we can, means why this double quotes came, or if double quotes we can create, then why single quotes came? Correct, these are questions you might get. So both the combination. So I think you have seen some messages will be like this. Uh, I would have something like that. I would have gone there. Right, something like that message will be there. So in this message, you can see there is a exclamation symbol. Sorry, there is a quotes.
right? There is a quotes. So, and if I'll try to store this, okay, if I try to store this using single quotes, now see, if I'll try to store this string in the single quotes, what happens? It's saying this single quotes completed with this single quote. So this much only it's accepting as a string, and it's ignoring all other things. Okay, so in this scenario, what we can do, if you are writing single quotes in the inside the text, then you can just close it with double quotes. Okay, so it will just check where the double quotes is going to get closed. So till that it will be waiting. So now you can see there is no error. So it's like a combination of both quotes you can use to design some text. Okay, if it is there single quotes or if it is there in double quotes, then see it's got break. So if double quotes is there, just store in single quotes so that it will check. Okay, starting from single quotes, ends the single quotes, it will just check. So ends here. So that is basically entire string. Okay, fine. Okay. Another thing is about string is like you can write, because see string is it's a paragraph, right? Paragraph you can write. So now we have only some 4 or 5 words are there, right? But let's suppose if I have like 100 words, so it can't be fulfilled in this line, right? It has to go to next line, correct? It has to go to next line. So either if we go to next line, then it doesn't accept, right? It's not accepting because on the same line it is try to accept. On the next line it got break. So either you have to write like this, either you have to write store to, okay, str2, something like this, right? And then later you have to concatenate. Correct. If you have to write, combine this both, then later you have to concatenate, something like that you have to do, right? To write one string line. So instead of that, this single quotes and double quotes does not support the multi-line string. Okay, multi-line string. So to solve that, to write the multi-line string data, we have one more, what is that? A key, the operator we can tell, that's a backtick characters. So using backtick, so you can see below the escape button in your keyboard, okay, you can see there is escape backticks. So if I write the backticks, okay, if I write the backticks, we can create, even though we can create the string with this format also, you can create the string. But the advantage of backticks is if I try to go down, still it accepts. So you can create a multi-line string with backticks. Got it? The advantage of backticks. Okay, and some more advantages are there in backticks. Okay, that also I'll discuss in the future classes. Okay, so as we understood, string can be created using three way. One is single quote, double quote, combination of single quote, double quotes, and using backticks. So what is the advantage of single quote, double quote, and what is the advantage of using backticks? So all those we have understood. So we are going to explore more on the string. So many things, so many methods are there. So see, entire JavaScript we are going to play with array, string, object. Okay, if three things you are very proficient at, and all other like loopings and all those things and methods and all, then you can do any JavaScript. You'll be strong, very strong in JavaScript. Okay, so entire course you will be just listening about array, string, and object. Okay, so we have to study detail on this string and array. Okay, so again we'll start with some new variable in the upcoming classes. Okay, but very thoroughly now, somewhat more deep level. Okay, okay, okay. And one more last thing I forgot to tell. Like, see, normally array you can access the array using something like that, right? You can access the array using all the element using array of 0, array of 1. So same thing you can access each character of the string using index value. Okay, using index value. So you can just write as 0. So a string of 0 will give you j. Okay, so you can access. You can loop to this string also. So just loop it. So you can loop to this string as well. That is also possible. Okay, So it's not like no need to convert again a string into array and then again doing the for loop. No, no, no. You can directly do this. Okay, fine. So something like that you can try. Okay. Now see here I'll show you one more that I told you know about what is that uh, immutability. Okay. So if I write str of 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So I'll just write str of 4 equals 34. Sorry, equals some string. Like I'll just write John space is good. Something like that. I'll just write. Okay. Now let's see what is the str value. See, it got changed. It didn't got changed. Didn't got changed. So that's why I told like a string value will never get modified. If you try to modify string value, it will create a new string out of it. Okay, so we can't modify. If it's same case, if it could be the array, then it could take, right? But string, it won't take. So that proves like string is immutable. Okay, so we can't change the string value. Okay, so I think these all are the basics already. I think you have studied and all. Okay, basics. So these are the basics. Now next we'll jump onto again to the variable concept, and we'll try to explore more like how the variable created, what are the things like we have to create the variable, we have to assign the value, and what the default value to the variable. If we want to access the variable before creating, so what will happen after creating, what will happen. So many detail, like how many keywords are there to create a variable, why the keywords has been introduced, like three keywords are there, like let, const, var. So what are the advantages of each keywords, and all those things we are going to check in upcoming classes. Okay, more in detail. Okay, okay, thank you.